You stand in the opulent privy chamber of Hampton Court Palace, the air thick with the mingled scents of beeswax candles and heavy tapestries. Your heart pounding as the flickering torchlight casts long shadows across the massive four-poster bed where the king reclines, his once athletic frame now burdened by concerning conditions that whisper of deeper afflictions. The silk sheets rustle under his restless form, and you sense the oppressive weight of secrets lurking in every corner, secrets of illicit encounters and health challenges that have twisted the fate of a dynasty. Suddenly, the shocking truth pierces the silence. This mighty monarch, Henry VIII, harbored not just 6 wives, but a multitude of mistresses whose hidden liaisons bore the seeds of illegitimacy, political upheaval, and inherited disorders that ravaged his lineage, forever altering the course of English history. In the shadowed corridors of Tudor England, where power and passion intertwined with perilous consequences, Henry VIII's reign unfolded as a tapestry of ambition and affliction. Born in 1491, he ascended the throne in 1509 as a paragon of Renaissance kingship, tall, athletic, and intellectually vibrant, yet his personal life became a labyrinth of marital unions and extramarital entanglements that revealed profound royal dysfunctions. Historical records indicate that Henry's quest for a male heir, compounded by medical complications, drove him to seek solace and progeny beyond his queens, engaging in relationships that often led to hidden suffering and societal repercussions. As authoritative accounts from contemporaries like Eustace Shopweis and State Papers attest, these liaisons were not mere dalliances, but pivotal elements that influenced court politics, family dynamics, and the very stability of the realm. Before delving into these documented narratives of concealed truths and extraordinary outcomes, if you enjoy learning about the hidden truths of history, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. And please comment below to let me know where you're listening from. I find it incredible that we're exploring these ancient stories together from different parts of the world, connected across time and space by our shared curiosity about the past. This overview sets the stage for a systematic examination of Henry's mistresses, revealing how their stories escalated from youthful indiscretions to affairs fraught with health challenges and political ramifications, ultimately connecting to broader themes of power and human frailty. The revelations begin with Anne Hastings, born around 1485 as Lady in Stafford, sister to the Duke of Buckingham, whose noble lineage placed her at the heart of the Tudor court during Henry's early years. Contemporary observer Eustace Shopweis documented in his dispatches that around 1510, while Henry was still wed to Catherine of Aragon, he pursued, and with fervent attention, leading to an affair that scandalized the court when her husband, Sir George Hastings, discovered incriminating letters. This liaison, marked by Henry's generous gifts of jewels and lands, exemplified the king's early pattern of blending chivalric romance with underlying tensions, as Anne's brother confronted the monarch, risking treasonous accusations. The affair's political impact was profound, contributing to the Duke of Buckingham's eventual execution in 1521 on charges of disloyalty, a move historians like Eric Ives suggest was partly fueled by lingering resentments over family honor. Anne herself endured hidden suffering, isolated from court and burdened by the stigma of her involvement, which affected her marriage and social standing, illustrating how personal indiscretions rippled into broader dynastic conflicts. Escalating from this, Henry's attentions turned to Jane Popincourt, a French noblewoman sent to the English court in 1501 at age 12 to educate his sisters in the language and customs of France. Jane's story, drawn from diplomatic correspondence preserved in the calendar of State Papers, reveals a brief but intense affair around 1513 during Henry's campaign in France, where she served as a maid of honor to Catherine of Aragon. Known for her linguistic prowess and charm, Jane captivated the king amidst the celebrations following the Battle of the Spurs, leading to a liaison that ended abruptly when she bonded with a French hostage, Louis d'Orleans, over shared cultural ties. The shocking revelation here lies in the international scandal. When Jane planned to accompany Mary Tudor to France as part of a peace treaty, King Louis XII demanded she be excluded, labeling her immoral and threatening severe consequences, as recorded in French court records. Henry's parting gift of £100 underscored the affair's significance. Yet Jane's homesickness and shunning at court highlighted the personal toll, including potential health challenges from the emotional strain of exile and rejection. This episode not only exposed the king's vulnerability to foreign influences, but also foreshadowed how such relationships could jeopardize diplomatic alliances, setting a pattern of escalating risks. Building upon these early entanglements, Idionette de la Baume emerges from a singular surviving letter dated 1514, preserved in the British Library, as a Flemish maid of honor in Margaret of Austria's entourage whom Henry encountered during his 1513 French expedition. The correspondence, intimate in tone, references pet names and promises of 10,000 crowns for her dowry, indicating a romantic interlude celebrated at the court of Maximilian I. Idionette's plea for fulfillment of Henry's vows upon her impending marriage reveals a troubling dynamic of unkept assurances, a theme recurring in his liaisons. The hidden truth here involves the cultural clash and potential for espionage, as her position in a foreign court could have compromised English interests, while her personal narrative reflects the isolation faced by women entangled in royal affections without lasting security. This affair's brevity belied its impact, contributing to Henry's growing reputation for amorous pursuits that strained his marriage to Catherine, who was enduring multiple pregnancy losses attributed by modern scholars to possible inherited disorders like the Kell antigen, complicating the dynasty's future. The narrative intensifies with Elizabeth Carew, born around 1500 and raised at court alongside Henry, whose affair began when she was merely 14 and he 23, as chronicled in gift record from the royal accounts, showing lavish presents of royal jewelry and lands. A cousin to in Boleyn and Catherine Howard, Elizabeth participated in masques and dances with the king, who arranged her marriage to his friend Nicholas Carew in 1514, bestowing substantial endowments that suggested compensation for her role. The shocking aspect lies in the age disparity and power imbalance, which modern interpretations view as exploitative, leading to her hidden suffering within a union overshadowed by royal favor. Politically, Nicholas's involvement in the 1539 Exeter conspiracy resulted in his execution, leaving Elizabeth widowed and vulnerable, her life shortened to age 46 amid the turmoil of religious reforms. This liaison underscores how Henry's personal desires intersected with court intrigues, exacerbating familial and political fractures. Central to the revelations is Elizabeth Bessie Blunt, born circa 1498 on the Welsh border, who entered Catherine's service at 15 through family connections to Prince Arthur. Her affair with Henry, lasting over 3 years from around 1515, culminated in the birth of Henry Fitzroy in 1519, the king's acknowledged illegitimate son, as evidenced by his granting of titles like Duke of Richmond. Bessie's intelligence, musical talents, and grace captivated Henry, who considered her an ideal companion during his marriage's strains. The scandal erupted with her unmarried pregnancy, leading to her seclusion and subsequent arranged marriage to Gilbert Talboys. Fitzroy's elevation in 1525, documented in state papers, fueled discussions of legitimization, especially as Catherine's miscarriages mounted, pointing to Henry's potential health challenges like McLeod syndrome, which may have caused fetal losses. Bessie's later life involved 2 more marriages and 6 children, but her health deteriorated, succumbing to tuberculosis at 40, mirroring Fitzroy's fate at 17, highlighting inherited vulnerabilities and the human cost of royal illegitimacy. Escalating further, Mary Boleyn, elder sister to Anne, entered the fray around 1520 at the Field of Cloth of Gold, where her beauty drew Henry's eye, as noted by French King Francis I's derogatory nickname. The English mayor, previously involved with Francis, Mary married William Carey in 1520, with Henry attending and providing extravagant gifts, suggesting complicity. Serving as Catherine's lady-in-waiting, she bore 2 children, Catherine and Henry Carey, rumored to be the king's, though unproven, adding layers of taboo regarding paternity and incestuous implications for his later marriage to Anne. Banished from court in 1528 after William's death from sweating sickness, Mary secretly wed William Stafford, a lowly soldier, leading to disownment by her family. Her letter to Anne, preserved in historical archives, expressed preference for love over queenship, yet she never reconciled before Anne's execution. Mary's death at 43 concealed the enduring emotional scars from her royal entanglement, which influenced the Boleyn downfall and Henry's paranoid reforms. The pattern of dysfunction deepens with Margaret Madge Shelton and Boleyn's first cousin, whose 6-month affair in 1535 is detailed in Shopweiss's reports as a deliberate distraction amid Anne's miscarriages. Madge's involvement, while Henry openly courted Jane Seymour, exemplified the court's moral erosion, with potential political motives to undermine Anne. No children resulted, but the liaison's brevity masked its contribution to Anne's psychological deterioration, as contemporary accounts describe her increasing jealousy and despair. Madge's later marriage and life remain obscure, but her story reveals the collateral damage to family ties and personal reputations in the pursuit of royal favor. Among the lesser documented, Joan Dingley stands out as a possible mother of Henry's illegitimate daughter Ethelreda, born around 1520, with land grants and wills providing circumstantial evidence. Described variably as a laundress or higher rank, Joan's affair highlights the class disparities in Henry's conquests, often leading to concealed progeny and social stigma. The child's existence, if true, adds to the shocking tally of unacknowledged heirs, whose lives were marked by uncertainty and exclusion from the succession, reflecting the broader societal impacts of royal indiscretions. And Basset, stepdaughter of Viscount Lisle, emerged in the late 1530s as a rumored mistress, with letters from her mother to court officials pleading for placements that positioned her near Henry. Serving as maid to Jane Seymour and Anne of Cleves, Anne's beauty prompted Henry's gifts and attentions, including a horse and saddle during her health recovery in the country, a euphemism for discretion. This liaison, amid Henry's deteriorating condition, underscored his persistent desires despite obesity and ulcers, potentially linked to diabetes or McLeod syndrome, affecting his mobility and temper. And story illustrates the desperation of ambitious families, pushing daughters into perilous roles that often resulted in emotional and reputational harm. Elizabeth Amatus, a goldsmith's wife, claimed in 1532 to have been Henry's mistress, alleging payments and encounters in her home, as recorded in treason trial documents where she accused him of sorcery. Her public outbursts led to imprisonment, revealing the mental strain of such relationships and the risks of speaking out against the king. This episode exposes the hidden paranoia and suppression of truths that could tarnish the royal image, contributing to Henry's tyrannical reputation. Mary Berkeley, another rumored paramour, is linked through vague court gossip with possible illegitimate offspring, though evidence remains scant. Her narrative, like others, emphasizes the erasure of lower-status women from history, their sufferings undocumented yet implied in the pattern of abandonment and societal judgment. Ursula Miss Selden, a court lady, appears in speculative accounts as a brief interest, with no concrete outcomes but illustrative of Henry's prolific pursuits that strained resources and alliances. These cumulative revelations paint a picture of escalating royal dysfunction, where each affair built upon the last, intertwining personal desires with national consequences. The consequences of these liaisons extended far beyond the bedchamber, profoundly affecting Henry's relationships, mental state, and the realm's stability. For the mistresses, the personal cost was immense. Bessie Blunt's seclusion during pregnancy and forced marriage exemplified the isolation and loss of agency, while Mary Boleyn's disownment and poverty after her secret wedding highlighted familial ruptures. Politically, affairs like in Hastings contributed to executions, such as her brother's, destabilizing noble houses and fostering distrust among courtiers. The illegitimate children, like Fitzroy, faced uncertain futures, his death from tuberculosis at 17 hopes of succession, amplifying Henry's desperation for heirs and accelerating religious reforms that dissolved monasteries, as documented in the Act of Supremacy. Collateral damage rippled to spouses and subjects. Catherine of Aragon's humiliation fueled her steadfast resistance, leading to the English Reformation, while subjects endured economic hardships from seized church lands. Attempts at concealment, including banishments and bribes, bred paranoia, as Henry increasingly isolated himself, suspecting treachery in every shadow. As Henry's conditions worsened, the escalation became unmistakable, with health challenges intensifying from the 1530s onward. Contemporary physicians' records describe leg ulcers that refused to heal, possibly from venous insufficiency or complications of earlier jousting injuries, causing significant discomfort and immobility. Desperate measures included experimental treatments like herbal poultices and laudanum for pain, yet these only exacerbated his obesity and mood swings, attributed by modern analysts to type 2 diabetes or Cushing's syndrome. Paranoia deepened, manifesting in executions of perceived rivals, including former friends like Nicholas Carew, while isolation grew as mistresses were dispatched to remote estates. The final collapse unfolded in his later marriages, where private afflictions, impotence rumored in his union with and of Cleves, spilled into public duties, hastening alliances like the disastrous Cleves match. Henry's death on January 28, 1547, at Whitehall Palace marked the culmination of these torments, with account from his physicians detailing a final scene fraught with concerning conditions, swollen limbs, fever, and delirium, where he reportedly confessed sins but maintained denial of deeper failings. Post-death revelations, though no formal autopsy occurred, came from embalming reports noting extensive deterioration, including blackened organs suggestive of systemic failure, long speculated as syphilis but more likely MacLeod syndrome given the absence of symptoms in partners. Historical cover-ups ensued, with chroniclers like Edward Hall sanitizing records to preserve the Tudor legacy, omitting graphic details of his afflictions and the true extent of mistresses. Preserved evidence, such as Fitzroy's tomb and letters from Edionet, endures as testaments to these concealed realities. Returning to that privy chamber at Hampton Court, now transformed by our understanding, the flickering shadows reveal not just the king's indulgences, but a profound tragedy of power corrupted by hidden afflictions and unbridled desires. These stories of Henry's mistresses illuminate universal lessons about the fragility of authority, where personal health challenges can unravel empires, and the pursuit of heirs leads to widespread suffering. In contemporary times, such dynamics persist in leaders grappling with private vulnerabilities that influence public policy, reminding us that behind facades of strength lie human frailties. The final haunting image lingers, a once vibrant monarch, alone in his vast bed, his legacy etched not in gold, but in the silent tears of those whose lives he irrevocably altered.